We'd like to thank you for joining us this week as we've been putting some miles on the 2014 Land Rover LR4 with the HSE trim. Now this is the Discovery line of the Land Rovers. So we've got a nice boxy look that has become kind of a style for Land Rover, and that's kind of what people expect in a lot of cases. Up front, we're going to find that we've got the LED headlights to go along with the projector headlights, fog lights. We've got some 19-inch aluminum alloy wheels that are optional, and we've got a lot of glass. This thing does have a lot of glass all the way around. Does have a power opening sunroof, as well as two additional panels that are stationary in the roof to let in plenty of natural light. Makes the vehicle feel a lot bigger with the glass, as well as giving the driver a very wide viewpoint. You can scan around. There's very few blind spots in this vehicle at all. Looking under the hood of our LR4, we're going to find that the V8 engine's been replaced with a new supercharged V6. Now the 3.0 liter V6 is going to produce 340 horsepower as well as 332 pound-feet of torque. Now this is going to be backed by a new 8-speed automatic transmission. Now this is also tied into another new four-wheel drive system. Instead of the dual transfer case for the really serious off-road, which is still available as an option, the new vehicle has a single transfer case system that's going to make it a lot smoother, very much like an all-wheel drive vehicle instead of shifting into a four-wheel drive. Going around the interior of our Land Rover, we're going to see we've got a two-tone, almost a tri-tone color scheme in real earth tones. Got some real wood grain right here that's going to accentuate a few places. Got aluminum door latches. We've got a really large door pull here that's leather wrapped right here in the middle. Makes it easy to pull the door to. One thing we really liked was this flat top of the door panel. Now it's about arm length, so it makes for a nice armrest, but it also gives easy access to the window controls. Now these are rather intuitive, and particularly the power side mirror controls. Now the right and left, pretty easy. I mean, you just reach up here, you can feel it. The joystick, once you've initiated which side of the mirror you want, the joystick's very easy to use. You can control your mirrors without even looking. Coming on across the dash, we're going to see we've got some more controls down here low for our headlight system. Then we're going to come over and look at the gauge pod. Now here we've got two nice large round gauges, very easy to read from a speedometer tach. But we've also got a digital support screen right here in the middle. Now this is controlled from the turn signal right here. It's not really on the steering wheel. The button's on the end of it here. It's got kind of a unique shape to it. But those buttons change some of the features that you can pull up here, such as your trip, your A and B, and your mileage, average fuel economy, etc. Now on the other side is where we've got another lever that's similarly designed, and this is where we're going to find our windshield wipers, and even for the rear view wiper. Now on the steering wheel itself, we're going to find we've got our controls for our audio system as well as our cruise control. This is also where we're going to find our support for our voice control system and our telephone. Now it's kind of interesting, the horn is right here, but it is this piece right here. It's a nice, it looks like a nice accent piece, but it's actually the horn controls. So coming on across the dash, we're going to see we've got some nice large vents for our climate control system, and we're going to see our 7-inch monitor here where we've got several different choices to choose from, and we can use it as a touch screen if we choose, or we can come on down here and we've got some redundant buttons if we don't want to, or we don't see, or we don't need that. The audio system works quite well. Now we also have a clock here. It's interesting that we've got this rather old style classic looking clock here. We've also got a clock up here in our monitor, and we've also got another clock over in our digital support between our gauges and our gauge package. So we got time everywhere. Then we've got our climate controls right here, our redundant climate controls, our manual ones. One thing about this, you'll notice that US built cards, the knobs are a little bit thicker, they stick out a little bit further. These work quite well, but they are a little short, so you've got to kind of reach for them. Another interesting thing that we found with the European influences is we've got an ashtray. It might look like a storage place, but if you've been around long enough and you had the bad habit of smoking, you recognize it as an ashtray as well as a cigarette lighter. Now we do have one 12-volt power supply right here, and in the old days we could take out the cigarette lighter and use it as a 12-volt power supply. So assuming that's still possible, there's actually two 12-volt power supplies right here. Now this is also where we're going to find our controls for our drive system. This vehicle comes with the single transfer case, so it's still off-road capable, four-wheel drive, but it's kind of limited. It's not like you typically think of a Land Rover with a 2-speed transfer case, but we do have our normal setting, a snow setting, sand and off-road, light off-road type stuff. And here we're also going to see where we've got our air suspension controls. Now this gives us some extra ground clearance when we're in the off-road mode. It actually raises the vehicle up quite a bit. We got a measurement of close to 4 inches out of it. Now you can lock this in, or you can also lower it to make easier to get in and out of the vehicle. For example, an elderly person that might be getting in with you might need to have it a little bit lower to make it easier. And of course we got our echo mode here. Now this triggers the start stop on the engine as well as several other points to make the vehicle more economical. This is another interesting piece that we found here. It's a rotary shifter. Quite a few manufacturers are going to this. After you spend a little time, it's very easy, very intuitive to reach over here and just know that we're started in park. One click is reverse, two and I'm in drive and back. Still need to look occasionally, but it's pretty intuitive. One thing that we really thought was cool about this, when you turn the engine off, this knob recesses down to where now it's flat. It's not sticking up like all the rest of them do, and just makes it a little bit cleaner, cooler looking, if nothing else. And of course we got our electronic parking brake. Now we got a little storage place over here where we happen to have our cell phone stashed, and it is plugged into the only USB port we could find over in the glove box on the passenger side. Coming on back, we've got a couple of drink holders here, and then we can open up our storage compartment here in the center console. Got a little removable tray, and this is where we're going to find our deep storage down in here. Coming on around the interior, we're going to find that we've got a shelf over here in the passenger space. Coming on around the interior, we're going to find that we've got a shelf over here in this passenger space to put some things, a nice drop place for some sunglasses, pens, pencils, things like that. Open this up and we've got a little storage area here, which is where our USB is, as well as other media input. Below that is the typical glove box, fairly deep. And then coming on around, we're going to see the door panel again with the Meridian audio system in it that really fills this vehicle up with some nice sounds. Now the seats have a little bit different paneling to them. Got the piece down the middle. These are not heated or cooled seats, so they're not perforated, but they've got some nice bolstering to them that's not real deep, but does give it a sport feel. Now these seats also have armrests on them. Gives it more of a captain's chair feel for a long haul, and the window door sills are down pretty low into the door, so it has a lot of glass. Coming into the rear passenger space of our LR4, we're going to see that we've got some soft storage here at the back of the seats, as well as the rear climate control vents right here on the back of the front console. And we've got a little pull-up lift lid here that'll give us access to a 12-volt power supply, and we've got some drop storage there. Now the seats, again, are not perforated because they're not heated and cooled. However, they've got that same style of stitching with the panels. It is a little different. This is a 20-40, no, it's a 40-20-40 seat arrangement. So our centerpiece, instead of it being a console or an armrest that folds down, it just folds down on its own. So that means that the two side sections fold down as well to give us a flat storage area here that's really one of the flattest across these seats that we've seen. This is not flat into the back seat to where the optional third row seat is, but it is flat if you're setting some cargo up here. Now to put the seats back up, you still have to use this lever on the side. You push down on it, It releases, pull the seat up. Looking at the optional third row, putting those seats up is not a one-handed operation, so there's no holding the camera while we fold up seats. However, give you a quick look with the seats folded down on the second row. There's a leather strap down here you can pull to fold this up. Now this is going to come out of the way to give you access to get back into that third row area. Interestingly enough, when these seats are folded up, they do come down and use the same floor space, same floor level as the second row passengers, so it's a little more natural setting position than if the seats were totally up here on this piece and you had to put your feet here and pull your knees up under your chin. Going in through the rear lift gate, we're going to see that it's actually a two-piece with the upper 3/4 raising up, and then we've got the lower piece that kind of acts like a tailgate on a truck. And from this view we can see how the seats fold down as well as fold up. With the seats all the way folded down, including the second row seat, we've got about 90 cubic feet of cargo space leading up to the back of the front seats. We're going to see that we've got a couple of cargo tie downs, and we've got some additional storage back here for when the third row seats are up. We've got kind of like a little dry storage area here. We've got a cup holder up here in the front. Makes it a little bit nicer for the third row passengers, as well as gives us a little bit more storage. From this vantage we can see the two stationary glass panels in the roof, and then we've got the sunroof way up front that'll actually open. Really makes it, between it and the glass all the way around, it really makes a wide open feel. Gives the driver setting up a little high like in a truck a nice point of view all the way around the vehicle. We'd like to thank you again for joining us this week as we've been putting some miles on the 2014 Land Rover LR4 HSE, one of the models out of the Discovery line. Now this is the mid-size SUV from Land Rover, so we've got passenger seating for 5 as standard, but we happen to have the HSE, which has an optional third row seating, so we've got seating for 7 in our mid-size SUV. We happen to be rolling on some optional 19-inch aluminum wheels. We've got a new V6 engine under the hood that's backed by a new 8-speed automatic transmission. Now this goes back to a new single transfer case 4-wheel drive system. So we've got a nice improvement in fuel economy as well as keeping power to tow 7,000 pounds. We've got a really nice leather interior as well as plenty of technology. If you get a chance to drive one of these nice vehicles, we highly recommend it. We'd like to thank you again for joining us this week, and remember, travel safe